Moonta Mines is a locality at the northern end of the Yorke Peninsula, adjoining the town of Moonta. It is in the Copper Coast Council. From 1861 to 1923, it was the center of a copper mining industry that formed colonial South Australia's largest mining enterprise. A substantial portion of the locality is listed on the South Australian Heritage Register as the Moonta Mines State Heritage Area and on the National Heritage List as the Australian Cornish Mining Heritage Site, Moonta Mines. The old railway station built and opened in 1909, replaced original station built in 1878. In 1985 the Moonta railway station became part of the Moonta Mines State Heritage Area and is a stately and very special part of Moonta's history. The old railway station now houses the Moonta Visitor Information Centre, which provides a comprehensive range of tourist information and is manned by a group of friendly, experienced, and knowledgeable volunteers. There is also a large variety of affordable, high-quality souvenirs and giftware available through this venue. Copper forms two classes of salts, cuprous and cupric. The former is pale-colored and of little importance to the assayer. They are easily and completely converted into cupric by oxidizing agents. Cupric compounds are generally green or blue, and are soluble in ammonia, forming deep blue solutions. That, for copper, next after those for gold and silver, holds a more important position than any other dry assay. The sale of copper ores has been regulated almost solely in the past by assays made on the Cornish method. It is not pretended that this method gives the actual content of copper, but it gives the purchaser an idea of the quantity and quality of the metal that can be got by smelting. The process is itself one of smelting on a small scale. This photo is of where the assayer lived, built in 1863. This next photo is what the office and residence looked like in about 1900. Captain Henry Richard Hancock. Hancock worked as an assayer of ores at the Moonta Mine in 1861, and the following year became captain of the adjacent Yorke Mine. In 1864 he was appointed manager of the Moonta Mine, a position he held for 34 years. Hancock's tailing dump in the distance. These dumps contain the waste crushings of the ore after concentration by crushing and jigging. The concentrated ore was sent to the Wallaroo smelters. There were 5 large tailings heaps on the Moonta Mine containing approximately 60,000 tons. There was still some copper in these crushings, and in 1900 the cementation process was introduced to leach out the copper and precipitate it. The terracing of the heaps and pumping of seawater over them is part of the copper recovery process. Moonta Miners Cottage and Heritage Garden. The cottage, built in 1870, is a combination of hand-fired bricks and wattle and daub. The miners' cottage is located at Moonta Mines and was originally opened by the local National Trust branch as a museum. It is considered an excellent example of the hundreds of cottages built by miners between their shifts at the Moonta, Yelta, Karkarilla, Parramatta and Hamley mines. The cottage is constructed of a combination of hand-fired bricks and what is known as wattle and daub. Wattle and daub is a composite building material used for making walls, in which a woven lattice of wooden strips called wattle is daubed with a sticky material usually made of some combination of wet soil, clay, sand and straw. The cottage is typical of the type built by the Cornish miners, and as family members increased, more rooms were added, hence the Hip and Valley roofline. The cottage is furnished as a miner's home about the 1900s period and has been lived in by brickmakers and miners. We have now gone around to the back door. Notice the rainwater tank on the left corner. The back fence is interesting, made from pickets made from flat iron. The fence around the cottage served to keep children in and goats out. The backyard of the cottage is paved with bricks. The front veranda has been paved in the same way. Even the footpath was made from bricks.
Notice the cobblestone paving out the back.
Take a look at the ornate design on the bottom of the screen door of the cottage.
The birds are even catered for with a bird bath in the garden. You can even check the time with the sundial. There is a table but no seats in the garden.
You can explore the lovingly tended heritage garden anytime. This privy toilet came from the Moonta Mines general manager's residence. It was used exclusively by Mrs. Hancock. When you look through the open door, this is the view you are greeted with. On the bottom right of the seat is an ashtray where they would place ashes from their fire to be used to sprinkle down the toilet to cover the smell. You may do with squares of paper from the newspaper or magazines.